The Virgin Islands Energy Office is putting the power back in your hands.
Previously, on real-time energy monitoring, Jeanette got the opportunity to evaluate her energy usage. Since then, more USVI residents have joined the REM program and are excited about their energy-conscious decisions.
Let's hear what they have to say.
My main motivation for joining the program was to just verify that the amount of usage that the local utility company said I was using actually matched what I was actually using. And it turns out it was.
I monitor it at least daily, sometimes several times a day. A lot of it depends on the appliances being used, i.e. the air conditioner.
It's made me more aware of areas where I could cut usage back, because as we know, the WAPA bills aren't going down, and so it's a way to save money in these trying times.
The energy monitor has changed the way I use the energy in my home because it makes me more aware of what my peak usage is, what devices are running me up, and just making me more aware to turn off lights when we leave rooms.
I'm so impressed with this program that I am talking it up to my neighbors and friends that they don't realize where they could be cutting back on the high cost of power for their homes. So I advise everyone to seriously consider checking into this program.
This ad was brought to you by the Virgin Islands Energy Office.
Conserving energy saves money and the environment. For more information, visit us at energy.vi.gov or call us at 340-713-8436 or 340-714-8436.
And follow us on Facebook at VIEO, the Virgin Islands Energy Office.
Virgin Islands veterans, I'm standing here on Veterans Drive, built in honor of us, Virgin Islands veterans. But we now must do our part to bring more VA medical benefits to our shores. How can we do that, you may ask? Get on www.va.gov and get registered. This is the way that we can do our part. Get registered at www.va.gov. We're counting on you.
Has the COVID pandemic caused you to fall behind on your rent? What about your electric or water bills? Well, VIHFA's Emergency Rental Assistance Program is here to help you catch up. For program details and qualifications, go to VIHFA and click on the ERAP link. From there, it's just 3 steps. 1. Make sure you are eligible. Have you lost income due to COVID-19, owe at least 1 month of rent or utilities, and meet the federal household income guidelines for your island? 2. Gather all the required ID and documentation for all members of your household, plus statements from your landlord or utility company. 3. Submit your application online at vihfa.gov or call one of the intake centers on your island to make an appointment to apply in person. For more details and locations of the intake centers, please visit vihfa.gov.
Today, Welcome to the Government House Weekly Press Briefing and COVID-19 update for the week of November 8th, 2021. For the benefit of the radio listening audience, I am Government House Director of Communications, Richard Mota. Joining me this afternoon to share the latest COVID-19 data and information on where Virgin Islands residents can get a free COVID-19 test and vaccine this week is, of course, our Health Commissioner, Justa Encarnacion. And of course, our Honorable Governor Albert Bryan Jr. is also with us this afternoon to share some other COVID-related and non-COVID-related updates. But before we go to Governor Bryan, I will turn over the briefing to Commissioner Encarnacion for this week's COVID update. Commissioner Encarnacion.
Thank you, Director Motor, and of course, good afternoon, Governor Bryan. As of November 6, 2021, a total of 2,448 tests have been conducted in the territory. Of those tests, 7,290 individuals have been tested positive. The 7-day positivity rate is 2.7%, which is a jump from the 1.86% that we had last week. There are currently 90 active cases in the territory, 81 on St. Croix, 8 on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. 7,117 cases have recovered, and we have experienced 83 fatalities. Not only do we have more active cases on St. Croix, but the last 2 fatalities occurred on St. Croix as well. Let's continue to work together to prevent new COVID-19 cases and deaths. So if you are sick or have been exposed to someone with COVID-19, please call our epidemiology hotline to schedule an appointment for COVID-19 tests. The hotline is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at 340-712-6299 or 340-776-1519. You can also schedule an appointment online at covid19usvi.com/testing. From our hospitals, the Governor Wang F. Louis Hospital and Medical Center reported 3 COVID-19 admissions with 1 patient ventilated. The Snyder Region Medical Center reported 1 COVID-19 admission that is not ventilated. After clinical trials in more than 90 trial sites and around the world, the Pfizer vaccine has been approved for emergency use by the FDA and recommended by the ACIP for children ages 5 to 11. And on Friday, November 5th, 10 children between the ages of 5 and 11 received Pfizer vaccines on St. Thomas. Further, one of our private providers on St. Croix administered 24 vaccines for children in the ages of 5 and 11 over the weekend. That is awesome. The Pfizer vaccine of COVID-19 is given in the same manner as it is given to adults, but in smaller doses. It is administered as a 2-dose series given 3 weeks apart. This morning, 10 a.m., Commissioner Raquel Barry Benjamin and the leadership team presented their approach to the 2022 reopening of the schools. It is really time for our children to return to schools, and the Department of Health stands in support of the Virgin Islands Department of Education. We will work to mitigate transmission of the virus with assisting with testing needs, education, re-education, and training. My ask is for mommies, daddies, mamas, papas, aunties, uncles to join us in protecting our children. Make the decision to vaccinate yourselves and your children in the anticipation of reopening the schools in person for themselves. It's something that you need, it's something that we need. We have the vaccines available and will continue to meet your demands. As more children become vaccinated, we will see less COVID-19 cases among children and even among school faculty and staff. This will keep schools open and learning can continue without interruption. Getting your whole family, ages 5 and up, vaccinated is easy, convenient, and it's today totally free. You can schedule an appointment by calling 340-777-8227 or by scheduling yourself or your child online at covid19usvi.com/vaccines. If your child is homebound, the Department of Health can also bring the COVID-19 vaccines to you. To keep up with the information, including COVID-19 epidemiology and vaccine data, please visit the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Health's Facebook page or our website, www.covid19usvi.com. And for COVID health information alerts, text COVID-19 USVI to 888-777. You can also access time and places of our pop-up vaccine sites using our website. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m., 10 a.m., and 1 p.m. on Charles Howard Complex and St. Croix. Go to our website, and trust me, you'll find all of the other sites available. Thank you very much. Back to you, Governor Bryan.
Thank you, Commissioner. And good afternoon to the Virgin Islanders at home and, yes, abroad. I hope you all have had an opportunity to tune in to the DOE press conference earlier this morning on plans to resume in-person learning for public school students in grades 4 through 12. That's going to be beginning in January, and I know that for many, the decision may bring anxiety, and for others, some relief. But the rest of the world is silently moving on toward normalcy. We've had a model that has proved successful in keeping our students, faculty, and staff safe. For months now, we've been doing this. In addition, we have available for children ages 5 and older the vaccine, which is also proving in dramatically reducing the chances of severe illness or death from COVID. We need to move forward for the sake of our students and their educational needs. So I ask the parents out there to get vaccinated and vaccinate your children who are eligible to receive the vaccine. And I'm also asking our educators to do the same. This is the most effective form of protection there is in COVID-19. You know, as I normally do, I pay attention to what's going on globally, nationally, but specifically in the Caribbean. And as this thing treads on, I realize that we in the Virgin Islands have been very, very fortunate and blessed in a lot of instances in dealing with this. I was reading a recent article about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who has a population comparable to that of the Virgin Islands. And they have about 1,100 active cases currently and 69 deaths, more than half of which have occurred over the last 3 weeks. I highlight this example because it was striking to me that the percentage of their population that is fully vaccinated is less than 20%. There is no doubt that vaccines work. When you look at the success we're having in the territory now, something didn't seem to add up. But looking at the new census numbers and the dramatic decrease in our population, which is disturbing as it dropped by over 18.9%, you understand that it'll automatically lift the percentage of people in the Virgin Islands who are vaccinated from somewhere around 48 to 50% to about 60 to 65%. And it makes sense because people are going out there and taking the vaccine. The Department of Health has already submitted for a change in the numbers because now remember we have less people total, so the percentage of total people vaccinated will rise. We no longer have 100,000 people or 87,000 adults as we've been using before. We have a lesser number than that. So within the coming weeks, you should see an increase, a dramatic increase in the percentage of people in the Virgin Islands that are vaccinated due to the reduction of our population and the census. Speaking about international travel and getting everybody and St. Vincent, the region, and getting back to normal, the rest of the world is speeding toward normalcy, and some of you might already be aware that President Biden has announced that starting today, the United States will now allow fully vaccinated travelers at airports and borders, and they're doing away with the COVID restriction that dates back more than 20 months. The new rules will allow air travel from previously restricted countries if the traveler has proof of vaccination and a negative COVID-19 test like we have here in place in the territory. Here in the territory, though, with our USVI travel portal, the current requirements to enter the USVI will remain the same and be in place for the foreseeable future. Those requirements include submitting through the USVI travel portal a negative PCR or antigen test taken within 5 days of the date of your travel to the territory, or uploading proof of vaccination within the USVI. I must say that now we're turning the week one of a complete week now, I think almost 2 weeks of lifting the restrictions. We've passed 2 weekends with people not having a drinking curfew and being allowed to have the bars and restaurants open. So far, so good. Let's hope we keep in this direction. And you know, we are still out there. Thank you to our COVID police and our other personnel that are going out there and making sure that we stay safe. But we are looking seriously at allowing any vaccinated traveler now to come to the Virgin Islands. You see, it's a different tourism season we're looking at this year. We have new competition. It's not going to be like last year where the Virgin Islands is the only place to go. And we have to start looking at, yes, we want to be safe, but we have to remain competitive. Speaking of that, remaining competitive, we have several non-COVID items that I know that you would want an update on, and that you're going to be very pleased to know that Congress has come together to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. This was a critical part of President Biden's agenda, and a hallmark package of legislation that will bring the country, as well as U.S. Virgin Islands, a much-needed economic shot in the arm after the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. This bill includes resources to fund highway projects, as well as mass transit for seaports, airports, electric cars infrastructure, and broadband infrastructure. We will be able to share more details with you in the coming weeks, during which time we will continue our efforts in Washington to lobby the Congress to pass the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better Act. This Build Back Better Act will greatly enhance our efforts to lift Virgin Islands families out of poverty through benefits of social services in multiple areas, and it is my sincere hope that elected officials in Washington continue their efforts and maintain the progress they have made to help raise the standard of living for residents in the territory and across the entire country. I can't say that without acknowledging our dynamic delegate, Stacey Plaskett, our relationship that we have with her, our Washington rep, Terry Helenese, and all the lobbyists that have been working to get these things passed. Now, folks, it's good news and it's bad news. The good news is that, yes, we're going to get more money. And we've been getting so much money, it's at a clip now that is really great for the territory. The bad news is everybody's getting money. So in order to get our projects through now, there's even a stronger push for us to get work done, because materials and supplies are going to go up. They're going to be harder to come by. It's going to be harder to get engineering. And most of all, I think, what worries me up at night is it's going to be harder to get plans and permits through our Army Corps of Engineers and our other federal partners. It's for this reason why I'm traveling to Jacksonville tomorrow to meet with our Army Corps partners concerning the dredging permits for 3 of our harbors, as well as plans to discuss the mitigation of flooding in the Gutson Estate, LaGrange and St. Croix, in Savan and St. Thomas. Those are huge projects, and we've gotten some torrential rain over the last couple of weeks that proved that we need to get that done in Frederickstead especially. So I'll be going up there to meet with them. I'm taking along Mr. Dow from the Port Authority, as well as our Public Works Commissioner, DPNR, just trying to line up not only our public sector projects, but also our marina project in St. John, our Water Island project that we're working on as well for the hotel and marina over there. Just making everything trying to happen. But being competitive is so important. It was a great week in the Virgin Islands. Last week we opened up Megan's Junction. This is beautiful, 60 new units. Public housing, affordable housing on really luxury lifestyle accommodations. And when you take a view from the 8th floor of that, it's the tallest building in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's 9 stories there in Megan's Junction. and you have a clear shot of Magens Bay, that's $500,000 to $1 million condo living easily. That's the level of housing we're putting up for our residents. I also had this weekend the benefit of playing and being with the St. Croix, the St. Croix Golfing Association. They held the St. Croix Open this weekend at Carambola. Golf is a huge sports opportunity for us. We've been working on trying to get some pro golf tournaments here in the Virgin Islands, so bigging up golf and everything around there is great. We'd like to thank West Indies for their sponsorship of the golf tournament and all the other sponsors, Diageo, everybody, and all the players that came over from St. Thomas and St. John to join and play in the St. Croix Open. This is an annual event. It was 2 days of playing. I played a round here and met with the golfers, and then over to St. Thomas, where I had the opportunity yesterday to take part in the welcoming of the Apex. The Apex cruise ship is the first time. It's Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, of course, the first time in the Virgin Islands. I met with the captain down there. We gave away some good presents. Once more, welcoming more cruise ships back into the Virgin Islands. Remember, we have an agreement with Royal now at the Port Authority that's going to expand the work that's going on there in Crown Bay. Also, yesterday, I got a chance to meet the new rector at the St. Peter and Paul, Father Tata, doing some excellent work there. Over to St. John, we had our Veterans Day Veterans Day ceremonies yesterday in St. John, where we honored Michael Jackson. The Lieutenant Governor and I were there. I will be out of the territory for Veterans Day, so I thought it was important that I go over there. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service to all our veterans. Keeping competitive, I also had the opportunity to speak at the Virgin Islands Yacht Charter Show yesterday. Tremendous turnout, beautiful yachts. Met a lot of Virgin Islands captains, encouraging people, if you want to get involved with Marine, to go down to the Department of Labor and get involved there. While I'm away, I'll be continuing our efforts to ensure that our tourism season is a good one. We're meeting with, we're also going to Dallas and meeting with American Airlines. As the country starts to allow people to move around and the restrictions internationally relax, we want to maintain a competitive edge and keep that airlift in St. Thomas, increase the airlift in St. Croix, and of course we've been working on for many years that direct flight from New York for everything. Also going on in our news today, in Washington, D.C., we're in the Supreme Court, there's a hearing to bring greater parity and benefits to the Social Security systems. There is a historic case taking place tomorrow with the U.S. Supreme Court with implication on disability benefits, namely SSI or Supplemental Security Income. So in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we do not get the benefit of that. So we're hoping that this case tomorrow, we can make a good showing. I was actually trying to be there in person, but they're not allowing guests into the building. In closing this afternoon, too, I want to say it's been 10 years now. 10 years ago, most public sector workers in the Virgin Islands were required to forego the 8% of their anticipated wages for 2 years on the heels of the greatest recession of our time. The entire territory benefited from the personal sacrifice of all these people, as it allowed the government to cut costs without cutting services. However, those employees took the brunt of that action by reducing their salaries together so everybody could try to keep their job. As good as it sounded, it didn't make any difference that the impact was burdensome on the affected employees and their families. I know at that time, many of us, including me, could not imagine that there would ever be a time when the government would ever find itself in a position to restore those last wages. However, I am proud to say that this week, the government of the Virgin Islands is issuing payments, restoring the 8% reduction in salaries affected by the Virgin Islands Economic Stability Act of 2011. Having publicly proclaimed the restoration of these wages, as a goal in last January's State of the Territory address, Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach and I are incredibly pleased with successfully completing this effort. We especially are pleased to be able to deliver on this promise at this time of year as families prepare for the holiday season. We know that the high cost of electricity, food, and the overall inflation we are experiencing creates extreme stress in our community. We hope that this week's payment will prove to be a timely stimulus, at least for a few households. This action marks a significant departure from a period of extreme austerity in our history, which was our government was actively discussing budget cuts and furloughs and payless paydays. It demonstrates that the sound financial management of this administration, the Brian Roach administration, is paying dividends. This is especially evident when you consider the devastating impact of the 27 hurricanes and the COVID-19 pandemic. We took this loss together and gave up this 8%, and we're going to bring it back together. And that's why I want to thank especially Senate President Donna Fred Gregory, Vice President Novell Francis, and the Majority Leader, Senator Marvin Blyon, and all the other members of the 34th Legislature for shepherding through the legislation that granted the authority to use general fund revenues to restore the VIESA salary cuts. Lieutenant Governor Roach and I also extend gratitude to former Director Dana Clendenning, Acting Director Cindy Richardson, Assistant Director Florine Hassel, and the staff of the Division of Personnel for their tireless efforts in compiling and calculating who was owed and how much. In addition, we offer our thanks and praise to Commissioner from St. John, Sadie Bruce, and the staff of the Department of Finance who have processed the payroll data and issued the payments. Finally, we thank Director Jennifer O'Neill and the team in the Office of Management and Budget whose diligent cash budget management have made this possible. Teamwork makes the dream work. I would be remiss if I didn't thank you, the taxpayers who paid the taxes and had the responsibility to make this possible, and all the hardworking government workers out there. I had to do it. And finally for sure, the labor unions, particularly the United Steelworkers and the American Federation of Teachers. That's Jerry, and of course, Rosa and her counterpart in St. Thomas, George Bordenave, all those teachers for their persistent advocacy on behalf of their members has resulted in their members made whole. And not only are their members made whole, and I have to say this because the court case only affected steelworkers and AFT, but we chose to do the right thing, the morally responsible thing, and pay everybody back the 8%, because we can, and it's the right thing to do. Their members out there and workers, we are so happy to be able to resolve this outstanding issue and congratulate our labor unions for their success. You see, success is a great thing, but we still have our challenges in the territory. But very quietly, the administration has been working with the legislature on perhaps our greatest challenge as a government. In the coming months, we will once again embark on a proposal that may be able to fix the government employees' retirement system insolvency permanently. You heard me, permanently. But just like the 8%, we have to work together and trust that our leadership and our leaders are working for the betterment of our entire community. We'll be working with our friends in the legislature to bring about the change in our community we want to see. We will need your confidence and support and understanding to get it done. That's the understanding that all great things require sacrifice now for a few, but it will bring long-lasting benefit to so many. And together, we will bring relief to to over 17,000 beneficiaries of our system. I'd just like to say, if you get your check or you don't get your check right, remember, you could still go to personnel's website, click on employees, and get paid back. Remember, folks, this is taxable income. And what you are presented with is your gross pre-tax calculation. The government gets some of those taxes out too. We are not taking out the 8% or 14% for retirement, so you will get that. But before I go this afternoon, the renovation of the Madrid Cummins Recreational Youth Facility in Frederickstead, the actual building back of the playground is supposed to start on Friday, November 12th, and continue for 1 week in Frederickstead. Our town, Frederickstead, and the Children First St. Croix are still looking for volunteers. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, look in the mirror. We need you, Virgin Islanders, to come out and help assemble and install this new playground equipment. This is like a $600,000 finance project with over a $1.2 million contribution. But we need you to give the other $600,000 in sweat equity. We started demolishing everything a couple of weeks ago, but the community needs you now. We're seeking individuals and organizations to just lend a few hours of your support. They're going to be there for a week, pick up personal time. And I would like to say, if you're going down there to volunteer during the week, I said it here now, yeah, I know the commissioner's going to get mad at me, but we're going to give you 4 hours off to go down there if you want to volunteer to help them get it done. That's on me. That's my extra contribution. So if you're interested, call up Samuel Sanas, your favorite St. Croix administrator, or Sana Joseph, 773-1404. You could get both of them at that number, or Sana Joseph Smith from IHOP, y'all know her, at 201-3791. That's 340-201-3791. So let's go out there. It's our community, our Frederickstead. Let's go out there and get this thing done, and I'll be good. Now we'll take some questions from the press. I see Susan Ellis there. Susan?
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just have a couple of questions. I'm not quite clear on the travelers coming to the Virgin Islands. They need to either have a COVID test or they have to have a vaccination record from the Virgin Islands.
That's correct. Nothing has changed, Susan. It's the same. All I said is that we're contemplating moving towards accepting U.S. vaccination cards.
Okay.
We're working on that.
Okay, then great. I did understand that. And also, I'm wondering, do you have any idea of the cases that we have now? How many of those people were vaccinated?
This is Commissioner Canasiong. I don't have that right with me. I can tell you that we only have had one death. And so in reference to the number of those that I've admitted in the hospital, still no one has been admitted and have been vaccinated. That I could tell you, but the active cases I can't say right now. But we could get that information.
But it's low though, right? I mean,
very low.
It's very low.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to have that information. Thank you, Commissioner. And Governor, I believe you said a few months ago, perhaps it was, that St. Croix might be able to have the boat parade. And I haven't heard anything more about that. Have you?
No, actually, I saw Sal the other day, and he was asking me. He told me he needed to know, and I told him we're not going to be able to do that. So I don't know if he. I said it's 90%. I'm 90% sure that we would not be able to have that mass gathering. I think the first mass gathering we're actually going to be able to have is the agricultural food fair. I really like that venue because there's no alcohol there. It's a big open space, and we could control the flow somewhat. It's not so cool under the pavilion, but we'll work that out. But we haven't gotten the vaccine rate that we wanted to do, which was somewhere around 75, 80%. So we don't feel comfortable with having all those people in Christiansted at one time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Daily News? No questions? Daily News? No question. Ernest?
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Ernest?
Yes, Gov. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a few questions. The first one directed to the Commissioner of Health. The governor mentioned, obviously, and I thought about this last week, the census, the new census that came up, and the almost 20% decrease in our decline in our population there. You've been applying for the change in the vaccination percentage. I would think that the Department of Health has an idea as to what it would be. You've already done the math based on the new census at what is the exact population vaccination rate now.
We've actually worked on that, and we have someone who works on our data from the Department of Health and Human Services, and Tiberius is the data system that we're using. So rather than reporting numbers or waiting until the data system is actually updated, because that is linked to what is recorded nationally, and as soon as that's finished, I got an update this morning from him as well as last week. So every step of the way we're getting updates, and hopefully that will be concluded this week, and you get the final numbers.
Ernest, we kind of guessing around, because while we got a full figure of 87,000 from the census, they said 42 and 41, St. Thomas and St. Croix respectively. They didn't give us how many adults over. They didn't give us the age ranges and how much people. So we got to work that out.
All right. So we're not estimating 65.
It's a guesstimate.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that one of the things that is estimated is that the number of 12 to 18 and 18 and above, that will actually increase a lot more than the 65 and older. We're estimating that is going to decrease somewhat. So that's how come we have to wait until those numbers come out.
And when you say we're going to have that, Commissioner?
Hopefully by the end of this week, but we have to wait nationally until Tiberius. You've heard about Tiberius before, but that is the national database that everyone's using.
Okay, thanks for that. And I suppose this is a follow-up for both of you. And so the numbers come back and we're at 65, for example, Governor. How does that affect reopening plans and festival plans for the season?
It doesn't affect festival plans, but I think more than what we're looking for is validation in what we're seeing in the infection rate. So it would make sense that we have a higher, because I try to explain logically using the data that I have why St. Thomas, St. John have less than 10 cases and St. Croix has 80. And from my own unscientific, I might add, analysis is the fact that because the community is denser and closer, they have attained some type of herd immunity between infection rate and immunization, some form of it. I'm not saying that they are herd immune. St. Croix is a little bit more spaced out. People don't congregate as much as they do in St. Thomas, and it's taken a little longer to get that. Everywhere we've seen Delta, it's shot up and then dropped off sharply. So, I don't want to say we're waiting for the next iteration of the variant, but for right now we're holding tight and we're looking forward to seeing the new tourist season take off well. It has already started that way, so fingers crossed and school get back in.
Finally, you said a while ago we are working on allowing the U.S. vaccinated folks to come in through our system, or you?
Yeah, we are, because the whole Caribbean is starting to accept U.S. vaccination cards now. So it ups and now that the U.S. is easing down restrictions coming from foreign places, it's just amping up the competition for us. I was talking to one of the charter boat brokers last night from Antigua, and she says that they're already doing 80 to 90%. So they're seeing a lot of European travel come in as well as U.S. travel. So we got to kick it up a notch to make sure that we can maintain the level of tourism that we had last time, especially with the closure of Hovensa. We get some other challenges going on.
So, Gov, now we're doing this, because I know you've been back and forth. So now we're actually doing it. We're actually going to try and implement this.
Yeah, I mean, if everything goes well, I see it happening within the next 30 days as the season really kicks in, because we just want people to be able to calm down. But most importantly, we want to make sure our people are safe.
All right, go. Finally, the last time I had spoken to you about the situation, the investigation at the Department of Education, and how was that
Yeah.
going? You said that's going to go to an outside investigator. There was a report recently that said it has been turned over to the Department of Human Services. That's what's going on?
Right. We just have getting the investigation part, investigators squared away, and being able to do that and coordinate between justice, education, and human services. So we have yet another meeting on that today, and being able to get some understanding of how this is going to launch. So right now, the main concern is auditing the system to make sure that this never happens again, as well as finding out where the gaps were that we didn't identify, or if there were any that we didn't really identify in this particular case.
So for clarity, an outside investigator is working with Human Services, or is this investigator at Human Services?
We did it under Human Services because we felt that Human Services would add the autonomy we needed to be transparent, so we don't have education investigating themselves and anybody trying to trump up some conspiracy theory. That's where it is now, but we haven't really settled whether it should be. We don't want it in justice either, because it's not a criminal investigation. It's a gap investigation in terms of what happened. So we put it in Human Services, and we get in the pieces in line for that. We already have every time a child dies, there is a committee that is assigned in Human Services to investigate it, and we want to take that approach with it so we could get it done.
All right, Gov, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ernest. No more questions. To everybody, have a blessed week. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you again, all our veterans, for their service, and to those that are on active duty as well. Stay safe, stay sanitized. Love you. Have a fantastic day.